I would like to go with like settling in my own country. So because it will help our country to like in social and economic development. It will help our country to progress. Also we will represent our country and other, and there is something known as dignity, so our country will feel, other people will also feel proud, and more like new students will get encouraged that if someone is doing something, settling in his own country, then other people will also he will like uh, other people will also see him, and they will also try, they will get encouraged, and they will settle in the country itself, and will help the country to progress in that means also.
So for my view is that I prefer settling in India because also I agree that in many countries like US, UK, and etc., they offer more salary to some specific jobs, right? But also there are many jobs in India which offer the same rate of salary, but the only problem is that they are much limited. So if we work hard enough, we could also achieve it easily. So second reason is that I'm a kind of a person who is morally emotionally attached with my family and friends. So staying in India would be a better option for me to maintain a stable relationship with my family and friends rather than going abroad. Even though we can contact them while we are abroad, but we won't get the same natural feeling, right? With our parents around, with our friends from our college and other lives. So I prefer in that way also. Also, like for going for jobs, we need to live in a cities like that way. But so the cost of living is much less in India, I think so. Like if we are living in US or UK, I think the rent and other costs will be much higher than comparatively while we are living in cities like in India. So that's also a reason why I prefer more living in India. Also, as Arati mentioned, patriotism. I also feel the same way, right? Our country, if I earn more in India while staying in India, our country will gain more. So it would also help the country to progress, right? So I also agree with the point I said. That's all. That's my view on this topic.
So first of all, I want to say is that moving abroad can give you the opportunity to experience new cultures, languages, and all. Like you will know what are their lifestyles and all. Then living in abroad can be expensive compared to India, while India is little bit cheap. And if you are, and it can cause many financial problems for you. And then the third point is you will be independent. If you are in India, your family will be there, and like if you get any homesickness and all, they are here to cure you. But when you are in abroad, so you will be independent, so you should take care of yourself. So,
valuable point. Last one.
Thank you. Then when you go for to abroad in a very young age, like in 18th and all, alone, you will feel lost. Like it will be a new country, new culture, so it will be hard to adapt. And come back to India, the universities and all are good in abroad. Like for some jobs, not every job, for some jobs. And last point is your salary will be high. Thank you.
കാനഡയിലൊക്കെ ജോബ് ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റീസും അതിൻ്റെ ഒപ്പം പഠിക്കാനുള്ളൊരു നല്ല ഹയർ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷനും നല്ല രീതിയിലുണ്ട്. അപ്പോ വേണമെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് പഠിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി പോയിട്ട് സെറ്റിൽ ചെയ്യാം. പിന്നെ ക്വാളിറ്റി ഓഫ് ലൈഫ് അതും അവിടെ ഇന്ത്യനായിട്ട് കമ്പയർ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ഹൈ ആവും. പിന്നെ അവിനാശ് പറഞ്ഞത് അതായത് ചെലവ് കൂടുതലാണ് ചെലവ് കൂടുതലാന്ന് പറയുമ്പോ അവിടുത്തെ സാലറി ഒക്കെ കമ്പയർ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കുമ്പോ ഏതാണ്ട് ഇന്ത്യയിൽ വരുന്ന ഒരു ചെലവ് തന്നെ കാനഡയിലോ ഒക്കെ ആയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതേ ചെലവ് തന്നെ വരുള്ളൂ. കാരണം അത്രയും ഹൈ ആയിട്ടുള്ള സാലറി ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതിനനുസരിച്ച് ചെലവ് വരണല്ലോ. പിന്നെ അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ. അതാണ് എനിക്ക് പറയാം.
So what he essentially said for Ayati, Ritish and all, he says there are opportunities abroad to work and study at the same time. It is expensive, but you get better salary. So when you take that increased salary, the expenses are at par. So that's what he says.
I have got nothing against going abroad of India or living in India. The advantages if you live in abroad of India that is that you will get more salary, you'll have more job opportunities, and there will, and if you go abroad like in Netherlands and all, the nature will be beautiful and the roads will be clean and the houses won't be here there not messed up, and this road will be clean. And there will be less populations, and there will be less traffic. And the advantages if we live in India is that you can live with your family members, and you can have like even you can have good universities in both of them. Even though if you go abroad you will get more, but still there in India also there are a lot of premier universities, colleges, and if you like feel alone or something, then it's you won't feel alone when you are in your home country, because there will be relatives, and if you are feeling sick or something, then they can help you. But if you go abroad, they can't.
Even though I'm all for patriotism and moral values, I think that we have to be kind of practical in considering all the options, because with the population in India at kind of its peak, and with the unemployment, with the number of young people who are unemployed rising in India, I think if we go abroad, we'll have more job opportunities. And the second point is that any job is valued in the other countries, because in India there is this problem of judgment, because if we actually get a high education or like a postgraduate or something, and for some reason we don't get a job of our choice, and we decide to do a less qualified job, a so-called less qualified job, then there will always be this judgment that you know, because we are not doing the job which is at par with our educational qualification. So while in countries, in foreign countries, any kind of job is valued, whether it be a waiter or someone working at a petrol pump. It's every kind of job is valued. And the next point is, even though the cost of living in India is much lower than that in other countries, the quality of life is better in those countries. So I think the cost of living and the quality of life is kind of at par in India and abroad. And the next point is healthcare facilities. So while we do have hospitals and clinics which provide good health facilities, I think in general, the healthcare facilities are much better abroad. And we have, statistics to prove that too. We are seeing it from time to time. And the next point is, if we need to get something done in India, for example, if we need to if we have to make a correction in some legal documents or something like that, we have to walk a lot, because last day my father had to get some correction done, and he was like going to the government offices for like 3 to 4 months and nothing is getting done, and we have to try some other methods for to get something actually properly done. So while I think abroad it's like there's some certain rules and they just follow it. There's no other shortcuts to it, and yeah, that's it. So that's all I have to say.
What was the other method you employed at the end?
It's something like we have to pay something extra to actually get something properly done. So that was it. They don't tell you directly, they are just like some other methods. They're like subtly hinting that you won't get done, what you want won't get done with, the straight procedure. So that's that.
Okay, interestingly, I just watched a YouTube video by R. Srilega, who is the first IPS officer, woman IPS officer in India. She mentioned something about this. She got admitted to the rank list of a college as a first rank holder, and she didn't get the job until, she won't get the job, they said, until she pays some amount. So interesting, but just mention.
I want to make one thing clear. I'm not opposing in the settling in India or settling in abroad, but I want to tell my point of view. So I support settling in abroad because so if you see, basically settling in abroad gives you more chances. We have more interaction with international people, which we won't meet in India, and also the paying advantages. So if I earn about 20,000 for the same job in India, I would earn about 30,000 in abroad countries. So, and comparing this, like, would I like probably go to abroad, or would I settle in India for the same job and but for better price, which is given abroad? I would probably go to abroad country. And also the job freeness in India, I feel people are more pressured. Like I've seen people work day and night, but like day and night out of themselves for the job. But in abroad, companies like Tesla and Apple, like they give unlimited number of paid holidays until you get the job done. So it is more free and sophisticated. And coming to the fact of expenses, in abroad, you don't have taxes, which you need to do while you settle in India. And the education in public schools in abroad, like US, it is totally free and it is covered by the government. So in abroad, you have a lot of advantages and you have personal welfare too. But another thing is, a social status. When you work in India, you try to get power, you try to like improve your social status, because it depends on the society. But the same thing applies in abroad. I'm not telling it isn't, but I feel it is more free and it is more like coordinated compared to India. But India also has its own advantages, but I'm just trying to make the fact clear that I like settling in abroad. So, and like, these are the things I want to tell.
So I would be being with like working in India. Why? Because I feel we're grown in India, so we might be, more connected towards the country, and you would be, knowing more about the country so that, you can stay well, because, you have been in that country for more years, so you work there, you'll feel more comfortable than before. And I feel that in India, you can get more of opportunities, as India is having a very good hope in the IT department, and it's actually getting a new hope for the software departments and sites. So I guess you can get a lot of different kind of opportunities in the IT department and all those kind of sites. And I feel I also agree with all of you who said with the point that being with the family, I guess spending time with your family and being with them is much more important. And because your parents grows older, so being with them is very, very important in my terms. So I feel that if you work in India, you can, be with them, you can give whatever they want in their, those times. So that is also one factor which I feel working in India will be better. Because working in abroad, you need to settle your life first, then only you can bring your parents over there. It's not like any restrictions, but you need to settle yourself first, and then only you can get them also over there. So in that kind of terms, I feel in India, if you work, you can, you don't need to get any efforts for those kind of things. And I feel that we seeing abroad and working over there, it's not actually the truth behind what really happens over there in films and on TV magazines, and that is not exactly what happens when you live over there. There's a lot of difficulties you actually face at that kind of a time when you shift completely towards another country. Firstly, I feel you might be discriminated at times. It's not necessary, or it's not very prominent, but at times you can actually be discriminated, maybe just because you come from another country, or maybe your color, maybe your hair texture, anything. So those kind of times when you're not also with your family, you feel you don't feel hope on yourself. But I feel that many of us can come out of it, but I'm just telling, it can happen sometimes. So that kind of thing might not happen when you are in your same country, because you grow with those people, these you already mingle with. Maybe if you work in your parents offices or somewhere, you already know, you might not face those kind of things. And a new lifestyle in abroad might be difficult for you, because you shift entirely towards another country. You might feel difficult, but when you're in your same country, those kind of lifestyle issue might not be affected, I feel. And I also feel, at last, I just want to tell this, that as India is a developing country, and I'm sure as you go ahead, you can see a lot of differences in India as you see now. So I feel job opportunities, and you can actually explore a lot in India. Not like before. India has a lot of opportunities right now. It's just that nobody is knowing more. So I feel just like abroad, you can have a lot of opportunities, and you can explore more, as India is a developing country. And yeah, thank you.
I like to settle in India, but I got points for settling in outside India. So I'm with settling outside uh, outside of India. The first point is that we can socialize with other countries. That we don't have to be confirmed with the living for India, even though we are born in India. So we can socialize with other countries and learn their religions and culture. This others said. So I'm just repeating it. We can experience their religions, rules, their system, and how other countries work and how they are different from India. And we can learn a lot like that, how the other countries are different from India. Then another thing is that we can get more salary when we are working abroad than India, because Indian jobs are cheaper, and we'll get sometimes our salaries get prolonged, and in abroad it's just perfectly we'll get money. And the last thing I have to say is that the quality of jobs are much higher in abroad. For example, if I have to work as a teacher, I don't like Indian education system of how it works. So I can't work as a teacher in India because I don't like the system. But if I look in other countries like Finland's education system, it's way better than India. So I like the system. So I can go in other countries and work. So in other places, my personality matches with other countries like education system. I like Finland's more than India. So I can't stay in India and change the education system because it will take my generations. So I need to go there and work. So I would go rather out than changing India's education system. So that's my last point and main point, that the system outside India are very much better than in India. Thanks. Thank you.
Tarun, you still hold on to that view after attending Brainerd for so long? We are changing the system, you see.
Yeah.
I would prefer to get a do my career abroad, because India is still developing country, and it does not. It is also not a capitalistic country, which means the government has more control over private businesses, so which ultimately will collide with businesses. So I would move to a country which does not have much socialistic ideals like US or those kind of countries, because they are developed and also have give me a lot of uh, infrastructure, etc.
So we would throw it open for a debate, like one by one, you can come and try to counter others' points. And it need not be in any order. It can be even the last person can talk first. It is like you can grab the opportunity and talk, only one person at a time.
A lot of them said that you have more job opportunities in India. No, job opportunities outside India, like in other countries, but actually no, not everything. Some countries offer very few jobs compared to India. In India, even though there you only might have heard of doctors, engineers, and all, but there are a lot more things you can do in India. Like you can military and a lot more things. Business. Even though you have heard of engineers mostly, engineers and doctors, no, but you can have a lot of other different varieties of jobs. And also the salary. Some people said that the salary of the other countries are higher. No, actually, not every country is higher. Not every job is higher. In India, some jobs offer lots of money than the other countries. Yeah, that. And I don't know if anyone said this, but the India is a very beautiful country compared to the others. India is way on the leaderboard of the, that how beautiful the country is. So yeah, that's it.
So many of y'all said that like people go outside for better job opportunities and salary. Then why can't the same people stay in India and then they make it possible for other people, or they, for why can't they make new institutions and everything, and why can't they make it possible for other people so that they can also equally participate and they will not face such problems which are faced by the person who go abroad?
Even though that seems like it's mainly based on moral values, but we as humans never want to, we always place ourselves above others. So first we have to get ourselves settled, and even we can make changes, and we can make reforms only after we are in some place up above, or we are in like a prestigious job or something like that. So it's not always possible to entirely change the system. So people prefer to actually go to a place where they find all the things that their dream life consists of. And also, I'd like to make another point that Karthik pointed out, that salaries in other countries might not be actually higher than that in India, but if you look at the statistics of per capita income, actually India is below a lot of countries. And we are not talking about, the less developed countries or even many of the developing countries. We are talking, when we talk about settling abroad, we mainly refer to countries that are already developed, or developing countries that are, at the top of their game, I guess. Yes, so in terms of per capita income, and in terms of healthcare, and also in educational level, India is, it's not really kind of attractive, I guess. Our HDI rank is 130, which is, our per capita income is really, it's not low, but it's like low middle income. And our healthcare facilities, and our ministers boast about our healthcare system being the best in the world, and then they go abroad and do their treatment. So I think that's the point I have to make.
Maybe the whole country's salary can be higher, but there are a lot of successful people in India like Ambani and all. So you can't say that you will get less salary, 100% sure like that.
No, we are talking about the average income. So yes, there are people who are like successful, but there are also people who are less successful. There are, for a common person, I'm talking about the average income. So we can't actually consider, the successful people in India and the common people in the other countries and just compare them. You have to consider the successful people in India and the successful people living abroad, and then let's just compare. So you can't compare a common person to a successful person. So in terms of average income, India is actually not that high in the list.
It's because of its population, because all of the other countries, like compared to India, only 30% of the people, 20% only can. If you study,
that's why many people want to escape India, right? I mean, not escape. We want to go abroad to work because there are more opportunities there. When there is like 100% of population or 100% competition here, why would we again like go if the chances are very less for us to succeed and like get more income? So if we get more income in other country, it is also equal to your own benefit, and it might be mentally stable. And this is actually one of the common problems in China. So I had a friend and he was telling me that, oh, this is very free in this country over here, because in our country there's a lot of competition. Everywhere you go there's a lot of competition, and if you don't do the job properly, there's always a replacement for you. But if you work abroad, it's not like that. You have more freedom to yourself. You can enjoy your life along with working hard. That's why many people prefer abroad more than India.
And being a salary, if you study and work well, you will get in premier colleges, and if you get in premier colleges, you will get higher salary. So you can't
That's
just
what
say,
I said. Even if you do the same studies, even the same college, even the same work, the same job, you'll get more salary in abroad. That is because, like a report shows that about 20 million people have gone abroad in 2018, Indian people. That's because for the same job, for the same time, for the same work, you get more income. So in India, if you get 20,000 rupees, you'll get 30,000 rupees minimum in abroad. So this is the financial difference between India and abroad. So that is why many people, as an average income person, goes to abroad and settles there. And yes, every country is a beautiful country. It has its own beautiful places and nature. It isn't like India is the only one. So India is very nice, but it isn't the only one. There are many beautiful people. The people's nature and the culture and tradition, it all varies in different places. So all of them are very beautiful.
But one reason I am against it, because moving to abroad isn't a easy task, as you all see, right? There may like for America, there have been restrictions for many people to move abroad. So they can't get easily in the other countries very easily in very easy method. They had to go over many, and they had to work hard more than if they do the same thing in India, they could get more, even more better while they're trying to apply for going for abroad. So it's I think for some cases, some special cases, it's more time consuming, like applying to abroad, spending some years trying to move outside. And also in the particular case, it's a particular case, right? Now the war is going on between Russia and Ukraine. So what about the Indian people who wish for the more jobs, like more salary, and when migrated to Ukraine, but what they are facing there, right? They didn't foresee the Russian attack, but they had, what to say, they had അനുഭവിക്കുക, അവർ അതിന്റെ ഫലം അനുഭവിച്ചു. I mean, like there was a danger that Russian invasion on Ukraine, but most people took risk and settled it. But now people are dying there. So that's a very special case, not applicable for all countries. First of all, that's my point.
The only point I want to make clear is, I'm not telling that India is not our native and we have to escape India, escape its tradition and culture. India is our native, it is our tradition, it is our culture. We are the people of India. But that doesn't stop us from going abroad and working. If there is a war, like even right now in Russia, like Russia versus Ukraine, Air India, like, they flew about 215 passengers for free. And at that time, it doesn't mean that those people are not Indians. They are still Indians, but they were just people who are working in Ukraine for their own prosperity and for their own welfare. So it doesn't make any difference wherever you're working, and like you get a better profit in abroad. I would personally go to abroad and work, but it doesn't mean that I will lose my respect to India and I'll consider India as not my country anymore.
I had to say one thing, that Avinash Maiden said that by just considering the job opportunities, they go to Ukraine and they're now facing problems. So because of the war, but so just think reverse, like India is facing a war against Pakistan. Now the people that who escape India or who go abroad are now safe. And person was saying India is my nation, sitting here in Mumbai or Kerala are facing huge problems, they die. But people outside India are safe. So if you think reverse also, it's also 50-50 percentage. So you can't just say about the war and all to say that don't go outside India.
Yeah, I totally agree with Tarun said that now. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But there was a threat for years, right, from Russia and Ukraine. But that's what I am pointing out. People need to foresee it, because I think it began in 2014 something. I read about that. The problem started there. So there might be people who knew the risk and went there. But it's not like like now in India, right? We are having do you think so? Now we are having a peaceful life, right? Because but in Ukraine was having problems from since 2014. So that's what I am pointing out. The people after that, they went to Ukraine by taking risk. So they knew that the war might break out. If you read the articles on Russia versus Ukraine, you could know more about that. But I told that it is a very special case. I am not very aware of it, right? So I can't explain it more. Also, I totally agree with Ritesh, right? Because it's a person's view, right? He might not. Also, he says that there are also advantages in staying in India, and I also admit that there are advantages while going abroad. But it's people's choice, what they're thinking in their mind, what they applies to their own life. So we can't say it clearly.
Avinash Charan said that Ukraine started suffering from 2014. So do you have any proof or something, or can you share that? article?
Yes, I have read the. I am seeing news, right? Because when the war started, I was curious about to know that. So we are having discussions with our friends, right? What they are saying. Some are Russian supporters, some are Ukraine. Why they're suffering. So I have read about that. So that why I'm saying you could because the main problem is that if I want to explain, Ukraine made a decision to enter NATO, right? NATO, it's an association of some countries. So Russia was not satisfied. There are very large histories. You could read that. It will be much interesting for you. So you could later on look onto that.
Sir, I have a point on taxes. So, one of the main reason many people consider abroad is because of the taxes. Like wherever you go, you have taxes in India. So for each major thing, you have taxes. You have to pay taxes. But in abroad, it is more free. Like you don't have to pay. There's about a few, or there is no taxes in abroad. Over here, some VST or some taxes, only a few. But other than that, compared to India, your financial expenses is less reduced by taxes. And also considering education, if you're in a family and you have kids, considering education opportunities, it is totally free in countries like US. So it is and that too you get citizenship and many advantages if you are settled in abroad, and it is very free. It is a very free country. So again, I want to tell that I'm not opposing India, or I'm telling that India is not free. I'm just telling there are some advantages like this why people prefer to go abroad.
Can I say one thing to opposite? That how do the government get taxes from the other countries, and anyway they are not just using it for their own personal things, they're mostly using it for advantageous things for our country. So you can't say about the taxes like that. And you are obviously free to do whatever you want in India. In other countries also you are free. In India it's also you are free. So I don't agree to both of those points.
So good. I would hand over the mic to Rajesh. Rajesh, over to you.
Right. Thank you very much. And I think it was, I was a bit tired after a travel, but the debate was quite engaging. Couple of things about the debate itself. I think you know this. The fundamental of a debating technique is that you take a position, a firm position, and then you argue for that. You don't need to analyze the issue in favor of the other one. Sadish mentioned it halfway through. Since then, some of you have changed, but some of you felt that you may have to consider the merits of the other point. When you consider the merits of the other point, your intention should be, for the purposes of debate as a competition, is to actually counter that point. You're not going to help others in a competition and then win and hope to win it. So as much as you think that it is fair to help others in a competition by definition is about fighting your points. So that one, you may have to be a little more careful. The other thing is about the facts. Don't make statements of facts without really knowing it. So sometimes when you say about taxes, this is the late. There were a few other points as well. You mentioned very generally, but when you make such statements, think about it whether you know or whether you know it from a proper source. If you don't know, don't say that, because you don't know. Taxes. How do we know? How many knows? In some countries, the taxes are very high, much higher than India. There are countries where there is no tax at all. Of course, I understand that. So when you generalize these things, make sure that you know what you're talking about. If you would just want to project one particular point, then you say, okay, in taxes in some countries can be very imposing, or say in some countries there are no taxes. So just make sure that you say facts in a way you please, but not wrongly. Okay. So these are the 2 points which I want to get started with. The other broad points which I want to make is one, this is a complex issue. Although we said it's a professional settling in India or abroad, it is intertwined. When you settle professionally, you can't take out you from you. I mean, you may be a professional, but you can't take your cultural backgrounds, your personal stuff from you when you settle abroad. So there are several considerations when you look at it. Do you look at the world as one big world? You know, as Tagore said, one big world, you know. Do you look at it, or do you look at competing countries or warring countries these days? You know, do you look at the world as that? It depends. Everything depends. It takes a, in every, how you look at it. It also has an influence in how you feel about the points which we are debating. Do you look at it purely as from a professional friend, or do you want to live a life, not just work abroad? Do you want to leave cultural aspects involved? Do you feel strongly patriotic about India, that this is my country, I need to serve my country first beyond everything else? Are you looking at it that way, or you're looking at, you know, you pay me, I work for you, that kind of professional approach? I'm not saying one is better and one is bad, but that is, it depends on how you look at it. And also, do you look at settling abroad or working abroad as a short-term arrangement or a long-term arrangement? So all these factors come into play when you decide this. Even when you take positions on this, these are some of the factors which comes into play. Now, specifically, when you talk about jobs abroad, generally, I guess you don't go to Papua New Guinea or some of the Somalia or some of the smaller, some of the poorer countries to work. Generally, you don't go there. So mostly people relocate to get more salary. Not just more salary, but also for maybe better experience. These are points I picked up from what you said, okay? Sometimes it's for better experience. Some have better facilities to work. You get better exposure, especially when you are starting your job. You may want to be in NASA rather than in a lesser institution. So these are the reasons. I mean, sometimes it's exposure or experience. Sometimes it's a salary which drives you. Of course, salary means better living standard. Some of you said healthcare. Some of you got offended that India has a lesser healthcare. Some of you have problems with Indian bureaucracy. Some countries have better bureaucracy. Some countries have even worse bureaucracy. So these are the considerations you look at it. Then better savings. At the end of the day, if you're looking at money, you're not looking at the higher salary or anything else. You are actually looking at savings. Sometimes you get a high salary, but your living expenses are very high. So at the end of the day, you may not have any money with you. So when you look at the money, it may be better savings. So these are the points which you mentioned that works for one of your one side of the argument, which is whether you want to settle abroad. If you want to settle abroad, most of the time, these are the reasons, you know, more salary, more savings, you know, better experience, better exposure, better living standard. But this doesn't happen in every country, but generally when you migrate to, say, US, UK, Middle East, sometimes to Singapore, some of the Far East countries, you do that because you do this, because you get these benefits. On the other side, some of you argued, and actually some of you analyzed the other side as well. You are away from, and one other thing you may want to note is that you talked about culture. It's a, you know, two-sided sword. You can actually, if you approach a new culture with open mind, then I think there is nothing offensive about it. You learn more, you enjoy that too. You have more things to enjoy, more ways to enjoy. But if you find some of the cultures offensive, then you have a problem. You may not be able to live in that country. So moving abroad carries a risk or a good thing of adopting a new culture. So whether you like the culture, then you are okay. If you like the culture, if you don't like the culture, that may be a problem. It depends on the openness you have towards a culture, or you're conditioning a lot of other things as well. The other aspects you mentioned is about away from the family, childhood friends, and the community you lived in. It may be a bigger issue in some people than other people. Some people may really run away from. Avinash, what do you feel? Do you want to run away from the friends you know, or you want to stay with them?
I want to stay with them
You want to
because
stay with them, but don't expect them to be your ambulance driver. You know, if you are sick, call the ambulance. I mean, your ambulance may come faster in US, you know, than here. So, but the feeling of in the country with your friends, that's a different feeling. I understand that. And then some people may, as I said, some people may feel very strongly about being patriotic, wanting to give back to the society where the society has given you, assuming that you're going abroad from India. Even when you choose abroad, you're going from India. So some people feel that I have to stay back. I know some people who does that, even with a lot of offers. They decided to stay back because they feel very patriotic and they want to contribute and give back to the society. I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but if you feel strongly about it, that is one of the arguments you may have against going abroad. And nowadays, we don't hear the brain drain thing too much. Last time, whenever one of the reasons why we did not develop as fast as we should have is because all the brilliant people went abroad. That was called a brain drain, and that was a big issue in the 80s and 90s, or even 70s, I think. So everybody who is well educated, who has better skills, were hired by countries outside. I mean, not just by countries, but also by companies in outside. So they went away, which means India is left with lesser talents, which means India develops slower. When India develops slower, the opportunities are lesser. So that was one of the oh yes. So and then the other thing is other argument you can actually have on a very objective basis is first class citizenship. It's an issue. We can argue on every single other point. There is an element of discrimination. I'm not saying it's very obvious in all countries at all times, but there are issues of discrimination. Being a second class citizen based on nationality. I mean, everything else doesn't matter. I mean, for our purposes, but based on nationality, you may be treated as a second class citizen or second class person, which will affect your promotions, grading, and even the rewards, which you may not like as a professional. It may not happen in every single time, but that is a possibility which can happen outside India. I mean, if you ask me whether it happens in India, then I may have to say, yeah, it happens in India too, but not on the basis of nationality at least. No? So Indians working in India has one less discrimination, which is based on nationality. So the reason why I thought this is a great point to debate is because of this. It's very balanced, you know, both sides have very strong points. And India is not old India. India has opportunities of its own. In some of the areas, India has much better opportunities than many other countries. And then going abroad as an opportunity to gain short-term lessons. That's another thing which a lot of people do. Not just for studying, but also getting a work exposure outside India is good for you when you come back and work in India or build a business in India. Another thing to remember is that, of course, you talk about professional, but you also talk about, when you talk about businesses, while a lot of Indians have made well outside India, a lot of Indians have done well inside India as well, which means, but somebody was talking about comparing apple with apple, right? Comparing common man here and common man there. So when you compare doing business in India versus doing business in abroad for an Indian, it may be more, there may be more limitations to do business legally in outside India. It may be a bit more difficult to do it. So it may be easier to do here. So the reasons why I know that I did not throw up all these points in any particular order, but what I'm trying to say is that it's a very great topic to debate because it's balanced on both sides. It's an individual call you make based on some broader principles, which can be very, very personal as well. You know, I may like the roads in Singapore, and Avinash may like the roads in Cochin. And that's a liking. You know, you can't complain. You know, I may like to live in a village with cows. Nothing wrong with it. You know, while you know, somebody else may prefer to live high fly. I mean, he wants to take a commercial flight every single time he wants to travel. So it is a matter of personal preference based on your conditioning. As I said, whether you feel so patriotic about it or you feel very objective about your profession, you know, whether you feel culturally bound to the place you are in, or you feel a bit what do you call, distant with your culture, and you're open to any culture to live in. So these are the considerations, and I quite like the way you all have developed. Thinking on the feet has improved considerably since I attended last time. Some of the counterpoints and the logic, the arguments based on the logic has increased. When you debate, there are two skills you need. One is the actual knowledge of the subject. I mean, if you don't have that, no amount of intellect or debating skills is going to save you. But at the same time, the ability to process information, which is sometimes you need logic skills of logic. Some of you have a lot of them. So language has improved considerably. The number of points, you know, I don't think I came up with any new point. You know, when I talk about specific points, you have mentioned all of them. It's just that some of you have not put it in the full. I mean, you have not captured the full perspective. That's all. And you had 5 minutes to do it. So be proud of it. Done very well. Happy to be with you. Thank you very much.